I'm trying to remember what item it was. There was an item where there was a switch of a contract potentially from, or responsibility from Swale to another organisation. So as the cabinet member for the environment at Swale, I thought I should just declare that I am the cabinet member. I can't remember the details now, but I was when I was looking at the papers, it suggested something was being shifted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if that does come up, I should declare I'm the deputy cabinet member for the environment. Okay. The minutes of the previous meeting. Has anyone got anything they would like amended or changed for those minutes?
Excuse me, Eddie.
Chris, yes, go ahead.
Declaration of non-pecuniary. I am a member of the committee, the twinning Hazebrouck. Just to let people know that, because we've got a topic coming up later, along with maybe one or two others.
No problem.
Mention, but it's up to them.
Okay, I better declare an interest there as the vice chair of the Town Twinning Association.
And I better declare an interest as I'm on the committee as well.
Excellent. I'm glad we got you all here. Nice one. Don't worry about that. I think it's just the postman.
Oh, I'm here. I'm sitting here.
1 second, sorry.
Oh, sorry, that's the other postman.
It's probably only agendas for Swale, Eddie, don't worry.
And Chair, just to point out, we haven't got the Mayor here either, so I might just send her a quick text.
I think just while we're waiting for Eddie to come back, Julian, I think the bit that you was referring to was the Environment Agency letter. We're getting to the bund. I think that's the thing that's on the agenda later.
Well done, Chris.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere, but I couldn't quite remember what it related to. Yeah.
Right. Sorry about that, folks. So minutes of previous meeting. Have you had a chance to look through those? Is there anything anyone wants amended? Okie dokie. You'll have to call out. I've got other screens up, so I may not see you if you're putting your hands up. Okay. In that case, we're on to item 4. The Stonebridge Pond duck feeder, and we've got David Hall with us this morning, who's going to talk us through the proposal. Over to you, David.
Oh, well, I didn't know I was going to talk you through the proposal.
Oh, right. I mean, okay. Has everyone read the paper? I was looking at it myself earlier.
I don't actually have that in front of me, but I'll try and find it. Or shall I just wing it?
Well, I can ask a couple of questions, David. It's
yeah.
I saw the stand. What I was trying to get my head around is, I take it the dispenser has usually been used for dispensing of sweets, confectionery. So is this a particular one that, or is the bird feed, duck feed, the same sort of size as sweets?
I think they can be used for a number of things. So you choose the internal mechanism that's suitable. So as I understand it, the main difference is there's one that does sweets and loose sweets and loose bird feed, and another that does those capsule type toys, which are much bigger.
Right.
So there's one in particular that's available secondhand and has been available since I first got involved in this idea 4 months ago. And it's secondhand. It's being used specifically as a bird feed dispenser. It's got a little tray which the stuff falls out on, and you then scoop it out with your hand, I presume. And it comes with that and various other features for outdoor use.
Right. So it's waterproof, is it?
Yeah. Well, I believe. Yeah, I believe so. I've been in touch with an outdoor museum in Scotland who's got experience of using this particular brand of machine and some cheaper ones, and he says that this particular one is waterproof. Yes.
Okay.
And it does also come with a back plate and a lid, which both make it more secure and more weatherproof.
Okay. Has anyone else got some questions for David? Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Well, the question is, with his contact experience, we have a high degree of vandalism down here, and I see a machine with cash in it that won't last 5 minutes. That's an observation. I take it that the public are purchasing these deposits, and any wastage is down to their cost, not our cost. But then there's also what packaging is this coming in, and is that going to give a littering problem separate from vandalism? There's 3 questions really.
Okay, well, the stuff is vended loose, so there won't be any packaging at all. Yeah, vandalism. Anna Stoner was also concerned about vandalism. The man in Scotland did have, he has experienced vandalism. He did have a machine broken into. This particular machine has some alternative parts, which are metal and replaced plastic ones. So it is much more robust. But nothing can stop someone attacking it, I suppose, and they could attack it such that it's taken out of use or robbed, I suppose. It is a chance to be taken. I mean, if the Friends of Westbrook are willing to buy the thing, which they said they are, then the material loss would be theirs. I mean, ultimately, you just have to take a risk, I suppose, take a chance and hope that it works out. And I've forgotten your third question. So, yeah, go on.
Sorry, cash risk, theft.
Well, yeah. Again, it has a metal box as opposed to a plastic one. But I'm sure someone could leave it open if they really wanted to. There was talk of emptying it daily. Well, in fact, again, the man in Scotland suggested emptying it daily. But I suppose in reality that what you want potential thieves to believe is that it is emptied daily, whether it is or not, and that it's not worth robbing. But again, you know, what can you do? I suppose it is a risk. To my mind, the more fundamental, well, another fundamental question is what actually is the point of having the machine? I mean, this all started because I was there in November and I saw an organisation called Swampy's Wildlife Rescue taking a cygnet away. They said it was injured. And subsequently 3 of the 4 cygnets have disappeared. And I don't know why. But anyway, that's another matter. But they commented that they thought the swans were getting too much bread. And so I had the idea, which I believe has come up before, of an alternative to bread. But you know, will people use it? I think there was a point you also raised about cost. I mean, you can set this machine to vend for free, but then, you know, that is wide open to abuse, I suppose. It is something that could be done maybe on special days. But other than that, you choose the mechanism to take whichever coin you want. So from 20p upwards, or even euros if you prefer, but you choose the mechanism when you buy the machine. But yes, how do you actually switch people or enough people from changing from bread to these pellets? I don't know.
Louise, did you like to come in there?
Through the chair, just to let David know, I'm a co-opted member on this committee, so I won't be voting whichever way you go. We've had about 5 years now of trying to get people to use Dutch grains, pellets and grains rather than bread, because bread also causes, I believe, or leads to the algae pollution in the waters, which is a separate issue as well. But my grandma did this. This is how we've always done it. Bread is bread.
Yeah,
it's a very difficult battle, that. So I've said enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Louise, sorry.
Chair, I just wanted to say that Adam has said he's happy to empty it every day if necessary. Obviously, that's Monday to Friday, not necessarily weekends, because he's always out and about. My other observation is that we've just recently had a report of a family of rats there. So my concern, I mean, obviously people are feeding bread. I'm assuming this would be potentially a better option for vermin. And also, I think if we were going to have it, the nearer to the footpath, the public footpath, it could be located, the better, because definitely in the evenings, young people congregate there. And I think that's when it will be tempting just to bash it up. We've seen the evidence with the bin that was there that was set alight. So we know it's an area for potential vandalism. That's all. Thank you.
Julian, I think you indicated earlier.
Thank you, Eddie. The issue of people paying, I just wanted to ask about that. I mean, people paying seems to increase the risk of the machine getting attacked, and B, act as a disincentive for people to use it. I'm kind of assuming that the value of the food wouldn't be that great, and is there any value in charging people to use it? Might it not be easier to just provide it as a free facility, assuming it wouldn't be that expensive? So it's really a comment, but a question really. Do we know what the costs of the food are likely to be and what the level of usage might be?
I could say something to that.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
So the man in Scotland said that he found the feed very profitable. So I did some calculations and to sort of verify that. And my estimation is that a vend quantity will be something like 10 grams, which would cost you something a little over a penny. So per vend, yes, it's negligible, but how do you stop people messing about with that? Making a huge pile on the ground just for fun at no cost to themselves. That's the risk there, it seems to me. And I think you would expect to buy the stuff in a sack, which the man in Scotland does for about £20 a go. So who is going to stump up the £20 per sack, however often that needs to be purchased?
Oh, yeah, welcome, Alison.
Sorry, Eddie. George Wilson caught me just at the time, so I've just finished talking to George.
We're just talking about the potential of the Westbrook Friends putting up a duck food dispenser by Stonebridge Pond.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we used to feed those swans and ducks bread all the time, and I know it isn't the thing now, but not everyone knows where to get the right food perhaps to feed them. So I think it would be quite a good idea. Quite good. Yeah.
Trevor.
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea.
Yeah.
I think you do need to have a cost to vending purely to stop people just emptying it on the floor, as David said. And I think I don't see a problem with this. I think it will probably, the only complaint we're likely to get is that it's empty on a Sunday afternoon. Or whatever.
Yeah, it's got to be full. Yeah.
But I think we can live with that.
I think so.
I don't think it will give us a major problem. Obviously, if we're emptying the machine and what have you, we buy the seed presumably to go in it after the initial batch has been bought. What are we looking at as far as the vend financials? Are we going to have so much go to the town council for maintenance, or are we going to say that the money from it goes to, once we, apart from the price of the seed, goes to further improvements in the area? What are we looking at? That's my thought.
Right.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, David, the plan was that the Westbrook Friends would supply the machine, the town council would secure it in a particular location, and then really ongoing, the Friends of Westbrook would continue to look after the machine, i.e. if it goes wrong or needs fixing.
On that last point, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's been discussed.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. That was my original understanding, that the town council is the landowner and gives permission for this to be machine to be affixed somewhere.
Yeah.
And the Friends of the Westbrook and Stonebridge Pond, give it the full title, would be, it's their risk, and they would be maintaining and running, and if they want to insure it or whatever, that's entirely up to the Friends. That, I think, requires clarification with maybe Anna as to, is that the plan?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Julian, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm listening to the discussion. It feels to me that we're broadly supportive of this. Should we be proposing that we go ahead with it, but on the condition that there is some more detailed discussion about the practicalities of it with the Friends of the Westbrook? And also, I think I'd feel more confident if we said that we were happy to go ahead with it, but we wanted to have a trial period and not be committed to having it if all the problems that have been we can all identify potentially could happen do actually occur, that we could withdraw from the arrangement. So it's to go ahead with those two conditions, really, that we have further discussions on the practicalities, and that we trial it for a period of time and see how it works.
Okay, I'll put that to I'll second that, but we'll put it to a vote in a minute. I just want to bring Louise in.
Yeah, if I can just draw everybody's attention to the paper that was provided by Anna. It does actually say who will install and maintain. Would town council have an interest? So I don't think that they're necessarily looking. The group isn't necessarily looking to maintain it themselves. And then it's who would be responsible for filling and feeding with feed and emptying of coins. Resident has kindly offered to help, but is this sustainable long term? So that's obviously you, David, that's offered. But as I said before, Adam does go round regularly to refill the poo bag dispensers. So this is something that he could put on his route. Just something for you to consider.
Okay, so I'm going to second Julian's proposal, which is basically that we agreed to go ahead with it on a trial basis. I believe that was right, Julian.
Yeah.
And we will allow Adam to secure it in position, but the town council don't want to accept responsibility for ongoing maintenance of the machine.
Yeah, I think I was proposing that some of these more detailed discussions take place first, that we agree in principle, and then that would probably mean it kind of confirmation coming back to the next meeting once we know, in more detail what the what arrangements have been negotiated.
So we're putting that forward. I agree to that. How's everyone else? Yep. Okay, so we're putting it forward that we'll have further discussions with the Friends of Westbrook before it gets installed, but we like the principle of it. Okay, thank you all very much. Right, where's my agenda? I lost it. Sorry, folks, all these screens. Okay, item 5 is the Highways Improvement Plan. Unfortunately, we haven't got Sarah Ellcock with us today. She couldn't make it. Is there anything anyone wants to discuss in regard to the highways improvement plan? You can see I coloured it up a little bit and filled in some of the holes. Is there any amendment people want to make to it? Go ahead, Julian.
The top item, the Stonebridge Pond one, I, as a ward councillor, was due to have a discussion with Sarah-Jayne, and Tim Stoner, who's done some provisional design work, was also due to be involved in the discussion, but that got postponed. So we're hoping to have a fresh meeting rescheduled with Sarah-Jayne to discuss the detail.
Lovely, thank you, Julian. Yes, Chris. Oswald.
Thank you, Chair. I did message on WhatsApp a couple of updates to the HIP concerning traffic regulation orders, yellow lines on, trying to think, Abbey Street, Abbey Place, and what's the other one in here? Bob Abel Close. It's moving forward.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
It's good.
line 12, wasn't it? That's progressing now.
Yeah.
Was approved by the JTB, and Hilton Close was approved. They're the two, isn't it, Chris? Bob Almer and Hilton. And Abbey Street, that's it.
Abbey Street, yeah.
Yeah, they can all be marked in progress. Thank you.
Definitely in progress. Brilliant.
Okay, so unless there's anything more on that, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is making a decision on the planters. Is anything, I mean, I sent a summary paper out myself for your information, which basically had a lot of the answers to some of the questions that came up. Probably not all the answers, but there's a fair few there. There may be one or two more we need to discuss now. Where are we? There we go. Okay, does anyone want to kick off with that, please? Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the all the documents, the GView ideas of the style of planter and what's made, what it's made of, and that kind of different things kind of very much ticks boxes that we were looking for. I think we had a discussion at the last meeting about the reasons for using or potentially going for the recycled plastic ones rather than wooden ones. There's been a bit of discussion from Ali Corbell from Swale Bloom, just kind of asking a few questions around locations, but also around because obviously there's been a few planters put in the town by Swale Bloom, the wooden ones that Amethyst do, around kind of the kind of rationale behind where the kind of direction we're going with it. I think there's a couple of things with that. I think the location concerns were relating to the thought of us putting them in the immediate town centre to clash with their kind of planters, which I don't think is a problem, because I think the suggested locations are in areas where they don't put planters, and in fact I think if anything it would enhance what they've already put in. I think the Amethyst ones, when we looked at the quotes, they were considerably higher in cost, and there was concerns around the materials. Firstly, what wood they use, whether it's sustainable, but also how we can maintain those wooden planters long term, because the plastic ones obviously have more longevity. So, I mean, my personal opinion is I think we should go ahead with the planters and with the GView quote, and the locations. I think if we get an idea of the kind of lead time on them, we can kind of define the exact location if we need to check with the landowner or kind of any plans that any other organisation are doing with planters. So, for example, the one on Forbes Road, the suggested one there, it's about double checking with Abel's Acre and Swale to make sure that there's no sort of clash with what they do. But my personal opinion is that I think the price is very good, and I think we should proceed.
Anyone else want to come in at the moment?
I would agree with that.
Just to say that Adam did get back to me, and he was quoted a price of 200 to deliver the 4 planters to Faversham, which personally I thought was a reasonable price to deliver them. I just want to make sure that they will offload them off the pallets they bring them on. And the other thing we need to liaise with Adam and GView is what's going to go into them, and I was hoping Chris Williams would pick up on that as to what we want planted in these planters. To give you, oh sorry, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So I forgot, that's something I forgot to mention when I was talking just now. I noticed that they've said that they obviously, if we sort of work with them, they can kind of plant accordingly, either pre-planted. I can't. I mean, there's discussions before where about once they're in situ and planted, that then the sort of ongoing maintenance is sort of done through the work of kind of the community gardening initiatives we're trying to do as part of the town council, kind of working with volunteers and people that want to sort of to look after them, and I think that's reasonable because the maintenance shouldn't be too high. I mean, I'm quite happy if everyone else is happy for GView to put the planting, for them to do the initial put the planting in. I'm quite happy to sort of to lend my knowledge in terms of or kind of link it in with what we're trying to achieve as our kind of climate and biodiversity emergency, to kind of think about the planting that way, to liaise either with them directly or through the chair and Adam that way. If unless we want to discuss it now, but I mean, obviously we can I can look into the kind of best planting for that. That's all I really need to say, really.
Okay, just to give you a bit of an idea, the locations that are provisional are one potentially near the railway station after the zebra crossing, so that it doesn't block car drivers' views of people waiting to cross. I've been up there myself. I think there is enough room, but I'll review it again, or we need to review it again with Alan Blackburn. Another location that Chris Williams put forward was potentially near the bus stop on Stone Street, to try and get a bit more green in that area. The other one was going to be down where Curtis Way meets Tanner Street. There's quite a bit of space there. As you enter the old 20-mile-an-hour zone, there's a little, before you get to the mill, there's that Wyman's Mills on the left. So it would be in that vicinity. There seems to be a lot of pavement around there that it could stand on. I'm trying to remember. I've missed a location now, but another location I'd considered was, as you leave Central Car Park, we've got the town council sign on the left by the brick wall, the old metal framed one, and maybe a planter could go around there to invigorate that as well. Again, these are only provisional thoughts.
I think Forbes Road was the other one.
That's right, Forbes Road. Yeah. So we've got 5 potential sites. So it's just a matter of deciding which are the best of those. Again, I need to. I'll catch up with Alan Blackburn and confirm that he's okay. I'll hopefully meet him in town. We can walk around and confirm those locations. So if everyone's happy with that, the proposal is to accept the quote that we got from GView for the planters. The delivery cost was 200, and with regard to the colour of the planter, I think we agreed on teak. There's an option of teak, oak, or black. I didn't really like black, but teak's darker than oak. Does everyone agree with teak?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Alison, yeah.
I was going to say, I think that is the better colour. Eddie, I don't know if the town clerk, one of the planters you were talking about, town clerk, is that going to be near where we are going to put the NHS bench? Is it that area?
I was going to mention that when we got to that,
yes,
you know, if we could make that area nice, could we potentially have a planter there?
Yeah.
So I agree with Mayor.
Yeah, to be honest, the locations aren't set in stone.
No.
So that can be changed. I mean, they're just going to need direction when they come to town, and I'm sure Adam will be directing them where to go to drop the planters. So the proposal is for 4 planters. So can we? Well, I need a seconder on that, and then we can put it to the vote. Okay. Yeah. So all in favour of the planters?
Definitely.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So I'll ask Louise to progress that with Adam. Please get him to come back to me, Louise, if he's got any questions he needs clarifying. Sorry, folks, I'm just skimming through my screens. So the next one is the 60th anniversary of the twinning with Hazebrouck. Yes. I haven't had a chance to go around and look at all the signs coming into the town, but someone sent me a photograph of the one near the Tin Bridge as you approach Faversham along the A2. And the signs appear to have, the top bit says twinned with Hazebrouck. Then the middle bit is a logo, Faversham's logo, Faversham's seal. And the lower portion on the one I saw said something about regional, in bloom, regional winner or something or other. I wasn't too sure what date that was and whether we should that should remain up or what. So members of the Twinning Association, have you got a proposal on how we might amend those signs? Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't sure if Julian was going to present being Vice Chair of the committee, but it was a suggestion made at a recent committee meeting. How do we celebrate the 60th anniversary of the original twinning back in 1961, I suppose it was. You've got a date, has been confirmed to me by, I think, Julian, that you've got a date in the papers at number 12 Marketplace. How do we celebrate that? And it's just an idea that we've got rather ancient signage on the 4 number welcome signs as you come into the parish. It's got the comment twinned with Hazebrouck. We could enlarge on that or put on an X panel. And coming back on the comment about the regional winner Faversham in a regional southeast winner, I think it is, in bloom, something that former Councillor Wilcox was heavily involved in, but we've had some successful successive years and some near misses. I think they're a bit outdated, let's put it that way, over the others.
Anyone else got anything to say on this topic? Go ahead, Julian.
Okay. I think the discussion at the Town Twinning Association meeting, and Chris and Trevor can speak on this as well, there was a number of suggestions, and this was one idea that came up, that potentially doing something on the signage. On a personal level, I think that the Faversham signs as you come into town are very distinctive and a lot more attractive than you get in most towns. And I think the little bit about Hazebrouck is kind of nice. So I suppose I have some concerns if we did this, about kind of getting it right and making it aesthetically pleasing, because I think we've got some excellent signage there, which is very distinctive, and I wouldn't want to do something which didn't look right. So that's my kind of view. I suppose on a personal level, I think some of the other ideas like tree planting and so on would be particularly good to do, and I hope this committee would support them. That, you know, and perhaps getting some kind of plaque for the 60th anniversary at a good location in the town centre, or at some location in the town. So that's my general view, but Trevor and Chris may have, you know, separate, different views.
Yeah, come in, Trevor.
Thank you. Yes, the signage coming into town is very distinctive, as we've all noted, and it's I think we'd have to look very closely at if the top section from the Hazebrouck could be removed easily and just changed with the addition. I would suggest, if we were to do that, actually what we would do from a town council point of view would be twins with Hazebrouck since and put the date in, so that it's not time sensitive. Yeah, it acknowledges the length of the twinning, but also it means that it becomes the additional since 1960, whatever it is, brain's gone, would actually then be a permanent thing and would actually show a longer term commitment. It would also mean you wouldn't need to change it at the end of a year or whatever. So that would be my thoughts, but I think we'd have to look at the technical side to see how we do it, because I've got a feeling some of those signs are cast, and depending on when they were made, depends on whether that is a separate section or whether it is actually part of the main signage. So I think we need to look at all four and see where we were. But obviously, I'm in favour of doing something to mark that and actually give us a little bit more. Given future, I think we would have to. I think that would be my thought. Is we'd look. We would need to get some quotes. And I think that would be down to the town facilities manager to have a look and see what it would cost us, and come back. And once we've got that, then maybe we can make some sort of sensible decision. Because I think at the moment we don't know enough.
That's good. So, so what I'm hearing is that we like what we've got, but we'd like to enhance it just a little bit.
That's right.
I guess looking at them, I don't know what state some of them are in. Maybe we should arrange for them to be cleaned for starters. And then, as Trevor and Julian and Chris have been saying, that we should then ask Adam to find someone who can either modify what we've got, i.e. the top section that says twinned with Hazebrouck, and whether we can get since put in, or whether the top section is redone. But as Trevor said, I think they're cast, so they're not necessarily going to be cheap, I wouldn't have thought. But I think the first step has got to be to get prices in, because we don't know what we're talking about there. I guess the other option is, and it came to mind when Trevor mentioned about we don't want anything that marks this year on there, is whether we should put a temporary sign in addition to that, a sign that just goes up for a year or so, highlighting that we've been twinned with Hazebrouck and this is the 60th anniversary. But I think primarily, I'm guessing we should probably go with the proposal of getting Adam to get some quotes in. Louise.
Yes, I just wanted to add that we actually had the one on the Graveney Road was renewed a few years ago, and I've got details of where that was done and costings. So have you already said that, Chris? You're nodding.
Sorry, Chris, I missed that.
But we've got the details, and I know that David Simmons has got the contact, but we've got all that details in the office, and it was certainly done within my time, so in the last 5 years. So we've got the details, and I think it is cast, and they still had the cast. So
would they be the people, Louise, who could just make sure they're I don't know, not changed, but like the paint is put back on again where it's come off in any areas like that, so that
yeah, or that's something I know that Adam has touched up some of the paint already, so that's something he can do.
Lovely. So the proposal is that we ask Adam to get quotes in for replacing the top sign and adding the word since, or just adding the word since. It's going to come back to this committee in, would be May, wouldn't it? So we can make it a final decision in May. How does the committee feel about that? So we're asking Adam for two options, adding the word since to the top panel, or replacing the top panel if we can't just add since and we need it redone completely. So that's the proposal. We won't, or we're just asking for quotes at the moment. We haven't committed ourselves to anything. Can I see the signs of the committee's approval on that, please? Anything else to add, Louise? Okay, lovely, thank you.
Chair, can I just tell you, it brings back such memories for me. I remember the first event. I was there on the recreation ground that weekend, and we had all sorts of sports and activities going. It was a great occasion. So, yeah, 60 years on. Wow. We need to mark that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. The commemorative bench. Yes. Do you want to talk on it, Alison?
Yeah. Well, Louise has got the details on this, haven't you, Louise? I hope.
Yes, I've done a paper for the committee. Yeah. It was an idea. I've seen that, well, actually Sevenoaks have done something similar, and I just thought, looking at ways that we can mark occasions without obviously building up large crowds, and I just thought it would be nice to mark the 5th of July, which is it's the NHS's birthday, but this year is going to be a special one commemorating all the workers and everything. And the company does those two specific benches. And when we were looking at potential sites, I thought the site in Bank Street, which is opposite the doctor's surgery and the cottage hospital, might be a good site. As you will see, we found out that it's owned by McKay's or M&Co, but it's currently maintained by Swell. So at the moment, Adam's tried to contact McKay's, but we're hoping that once the shop's open, we can actually speak to the manager then. Councillor Martin wants to say something, I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Trevor.
Thank you. I think that's a brilliant idea. And particularly that location. The wooden bench there, I noted, is looking very tired anyway. So I think as a direct replacement, that would be a brilliant idea. And I don't think we'd need many, I don't think we'd actually need to get any permissions. It's just to swap the bench that's there for that one, which I assume would be, could be classed as just maintenance. It'd be worth checking with Swale, obviously, on that. But, and yes, we would want to speak to them about it. And I'm sure they may well wish to acknowledge it's on their land and maybe do something for their publicity as well, as a way of saying, yeah, we're back.
Supporting.
I wasn't actually thinking of replacing the bench that's there. It already has a memorial plaque on it. I was actually looking at the area to the right, which sits further back, that's got the graffiti on the wall. Mm-hmm. You know, I was thinking that area, although actually tidying up that whole area, because certainly near the current bench, it's a trip hazard because all the paving slabs have lifted up with the tree roots. And you can't walk to the bench without going literally through the tree. So I think that's why I also wondered about a planter, that we actually don't get rid of that bench, but add a bench and just generally tidy up the area, paint the railings, and perhaps mark it as a commemorative area for, you know, the pandemic.
Yes,
in some way.
It is, isn't it?
I'd even thought about if people wanted plaques or anything, but I mean that's going a little bit further on at the moment. But that's what my thoughts were.
I think that's a very good thought, and
yes.
I think we should explore that with expedience.
Yes, yes.
I think Chris wants to.
Yeah, come in, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment, observation, if Mackay's the landowner and Swale have presumably a maintenance agreement with the landowner, that perhaps the town council can bring to both attention the health and safety hazard, the necessary work, tree roots, absence, separate from the bench anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I can just add at that point, when Adam spoke to Swale, they didn't actually know who owned the land. They knew that they maintained it, but they couldn't tell us who owned it. But obviously we've done that ourselves.
Well done.
Okay.
Well done, Louise. Yeah, no, it's a brilliant idea.
So
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say I support the idea. I think I like the idea of using that little sort of alcove area that's kind of to the right hand side. I think would be good to be tidied up, and I think if we can incorporate some sort of greenery, obviously it's got trees there anyway, but a planter, if whether that's what we've already discussed or a separate smaller thing, that would be quite nice, and I think it would just enhance it a bit more. So yeah, I'm just in support of it, really.
Right.
Okay, and I support the idea as well. I would just add that, or comment, that whatever we do there, we need to bear in mind that if that ownership of the land changes hands in the future, we may need to be able to relocate whatever we put there, because we don't own the land, so we wouldn't be getting 100% permission to have it there permanently. So just need to bear that in mind. But I think everything that's been discussed so far is transportable if needed to a different location.
Yeah,
so that's not a problem.
No.
But yes, I think there's interesting things we can do there, as Louise was saying, and I'm sure if Mackay's are agreeable, we can get, the Climate and Biodiversity Group involved with maybe even additional planting there, i.e. do we need all those paving slabs on the ground, or should some of them be taken up and we use planting? I don't know. That might be something that we could consider. I'm happy to contact Swale and see if they'll trim back those trees, because as they're maintaining the land, I'm sure that will be acceptable. Is everyone in agreement with that? Any objections?
Definitely.
For that?
Okay, second.
And I do like the blue bench. I think that's really good.
Yes, it's really cheerful and bright, isn't it? And
yeah. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'd be quite keen to bring the wooden bench forward, to be honest, so that it's not so hidden in the shadows at the back. But anyway,
we could get both, maybe on the side.
Yeah. Good. Maybe we'll have to think about. Yes, no, that's good. We'll talk about it again probably in May. But I think the principle, we should be going ahead with that, getting the bench. Excellent. Where are we now? Done that one. Done that. Sorry. The town bund, the front Brents. Okay. So there is a paper, hopefully you've read on this one. Where is it now? Anyway, has anybody got any comments on the paper from the Environment Agency? Sorry, I missed if anyone's... Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. It's a complicated one, really, because I do have concerns. So my understanding of that area is that it's currently maintained by Swale on behalf of the town council. The lands, not the flat bit near Secrete. And we planted 3 trees there, the town council, back in the autumn. the hope would be that we can plant some more actually going forward. But within the document, the Environment Agency's they've talked about using glyphosate to basically keep some of what they would call invasive weeds down to stop the bund getting damaged. They've also talked about keeping the grass shorter to stop the roots kind of basically creating problems with the stability of the bund. And I understand from their point of view that it's a flood defence. They've obviously got their priority in terms of keeping it as a flood defence. My real concern is if they take over the full maintenance of that space and they start using glyphosate and strimming it, I'm concerned about it. It's going against what we're trying to achieve in terms of pesticide-free town, but also some of the work we're trying to do to make it more biodiverse environment. So that's really my concern, is that I think if we do respond to them, that we need to point that out. And I think Louise has pointed it out to them, or in a sort of basic level, you know, that we have these priorities. But I think we do need to sort of point out that we're not comfortable with them using chemicals on these areas, particularly the fact that it's near a water course as well. I don't think it's a particularly good way to operate. But I'm not. I don't want to equally stop some maintenance happening that's going to be detriment to the flood defence either. So it's got to be a compromise somewhere along the line.
Great.
Anyone else? Trevor, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Chris's concerns over their proposal. I think we should point out that we're aiming to be a pesticide-free town. However, I'm very conscious that although this is a planted area, it is, exactly as Chris said, a flood defence for which the Environment Agency is very much responsible. But I think we should write back and say, yeah, okay, I understand that the design of the bund and the length of any vegetation on it is actually quite critical in their calculations for 2020. And I think we as a town council cannot take on a liability that we know nothing about. And that liability would be if they don't do this sort of work, if the embankment was to fail and houses or other properties were flooded, we don't want to be in the situation where the Environment Agency can point to them and say, well, it's their fault, they're liable, because I don't think we could take that on. Although I do note that we do have some commitment with the ownership of the road immediately behind the bund. So I think we should ask them not to use the pesticide or herbicide that they've proposed. But I think that we're in a situation where it may become a fait accompli, shall we say.
Okay, is there an alternative we can suggest with regard to the weeds? Because it's the weeds that encroach, I believe, the ones they want to use the weed killer on. Has anyone got an idea of what alternative we could use? I'm not thinking of another chemical. I'm thinking, should we arrange for the weeds to be dug out? I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. Very cautious here because Town Council is the landowner of the green on which the flood defence, the bund, sits. And Town Council continues to own land up to roughly, I believe, halfway across the width of the roadway. So the Town Council is responsible for maintenance except for the bund. Now, if the Environment Agency intend to maintain their bund on Town Council's land, I see a difficulty if different bodies are maintaining and someone else is weeding. They don't want weeding by the sound of it. They don't want shrubs. They don't want roots. Just a word of caution there.
So we've got this document before us, and I'll ask Louise, do we have to agree anything here, or is it just for our information, Louise?
I think we do need to agree, because when they first said that they were taking over responsibility, I've asked for that for the detail. So I do think we need to go back to them and say either we agree or we don't, or as Councillor Williams has suggested, that we say something.
Go ahead, Councillor Williams. Chris?
I wonder maybe a proposal could be based around so that we acknowledge that obviously the maintenance of the bund is important for flood defence, and the Environment Agency is the correct body to do that. And we're in principle we have no issue with that, but we raise concerns with the use of chemical, so glyphosate or herbicide, to deal with it, and we would prefer to have a discussion on the alternatives. My hope would be, and this is probably me being optimistic, that the Environment Agency, being the Environment Agency, would understand the concerns around chemicals, and they would have alternative methods to do it, because I'm sure the fact that they're dealing with lands that's close to waterways, there must be alternative methods that they can use. It may be that glyphosate is the easiest option, the quickest option, but that's not to say it's the best one. And I think it's worth us just emphasising that we are Stonebridge Council. We want to be a pesticides town. It may be that actually in the end the Environment Agency basically just do it anyway. I really don't know how they will react to it. But I think if we propose that we don't object to them taking maintenance of the because we think it's in the best interest of the
yes.
defence, but the concerns are mainly around the chemical use, and we prefer to see that not to be used and see an alternative proposal from them, or engage in a discussion over it. Maybe that's the way forward. Don't know.
Okay, so can I propose that the committee delegate the responsibility to Councillor Williams and the Town Clerk to write back to the Environment Agency with those suggestions, and if need be, Councillor Williams will have a meeting with the Environment Agency, and I'm sure you can ask for support from other councillors as required. Have we got anyone who disagrees with that proposal?
Yeah,
okay, so that's what we'll do in regard. Sorry, Trevor, did you want to say something?
Sorry, I was just going to say I'll second that proposal. Because, and we'll go.
Much appreciated. Okie dokie. Right, any other business? I'm just going to kick off in that case and say that the 20-mile-an-hour planters that are around the town, KCC would like us as the town council to take on the responsibility for them, and what that means is looking after what's planted in them, and giving them TLC physically as and when required. I'm proposing that we agree to that. Has anyone got any comments they want to make in regard to that? Chris, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll be quick. I just to say that I at the last Faversham in Bloom meeting, those planters actually mentioned, particularly by a volunteer who does some of the planting and the mow. There's a few beds on there. They expressed an interest in actually being involved with the maintenance of that and incorporating it into the work then. And obviously the ones at the mow, you've got the ones opposite that Swale put in by the bench there, which so I think probably they can be incorporated quite well into existing sort of planting maintenances that are in those areas. I think it shouldn't necessarily, a bit like we said with the other plants, it shouldn't necessarily be a major problem, a major sort of issue with maintenance. So I think it's in some ways a good idea that it's maintained by the town rather than KCC.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So unless anyone's got hello? Any other business from anyone? Okay, in that case, I'll close the meeting. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.